One of the things we're going to do right now, though, is I have a really, really important guest, somebody who I just interviewed actually here at the Doha Forum, and that is the senior senator from South Carolina, Senator Lindsey Graham. Good evening here in Doha, Senator Graham. How are you?
Thank you, Morgan. You look great on the radio.
Thanks so much. Well, listen, one of the things we covered a lot in our interview here in the Doha Forum, but one of the things you really spoke truth to power. You spoke to an entire Arab audience, and you told them that the U.S. stands by Israel and is committed to standing by them through the destruction and the annihilation of Hamas. But you also talked about what it looks like the day after when all of this is over and what you think needs to happen for the Palestinian people. Can you explain that to our audience?
Well, number one, I hope you do really well on this show. This is important stuff. Why does it matter to you out there listening? You know, Hamas would kill you if they could. Hamas is a terrorist organization that wants to kill all the Jews. They don't want a better life for the Palestinians. So if they're still standing when this is over, it's going to put every jihadist group in the world on steroids. So we need to be behind Israel. There is no better world if Hamas gets away with the raping of Israeli women, the cutting of the babies' heads off and putting them in ovens. If that stuff doesn't get, if they don't pay a price for that, we're all in trouble. So what did I say here? I said that Hamas, they should burn in hell, that the Palestinian people are not my enemy. They deserve a better life. And the only way they're going to get one, Morgan, is for Hamas to be destroyed. The Palestinian Authority who governs the West Bank is old and corrupt. So I told truth to power. I said, listen, to the Arab world here, I want to work with you, but you got to stand up and let people know at home that you're not on the side of Hamas, and the PA needs to be replaced by people less corrupt. If we can get this right, destroy Hamas, give Israel the space they need to be safe, and give the Palestinians a better life, then we're all going to live better at home. If we fail in this endeavor, they're coming after us.
And Senator Graham, what would you say to people? I'm sure there's so many people listening who feel war weary. They feel like it's been over 20 years since 9/11. We fought in Iraq. We fought in Afghanistan. Some people did multiple tours. And I know people feel like, well, how many wars do we have to fight? Why are we still in this? What do you say to people about that?
Here's what I would say, and I hear that a lot, Morgan. It's a good question. You may be tired of fighting them. They're not tired of fighting you. You got a choice here, folks, to make in this war. Radical Islam wants to destroy Western civilization, kill all the Jews, and make us bend a knee to their view of religion. Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews. Nobody really believed him. Well, I tell you what, Radical Islam, they would kill you if they could. So I'd rather fight them in their backyard rather than our backyard. I'd rather do it with partners and by ourselves. Israel's not asking for any soldiers. They're just asking for weapons. Radical Islam that hit us on September the 11th, 2001, they're still out there. After we got out of withdrew from Afghanistan in such a shameful way with a broken border, I'm worried we're going to get attacked. So you may be tired of fighting them, but they're not tired of fighting you. And how can you defend yourself? Work with others in the region who will fight back. The southern border is your last line of defense, not your first line of defense. So this is a generational struggle. I'm on the side of Israel, and I'm going to stand beside the Muslims who reject this hateful ideology. And here's the good news. Most people in the region don't want to live like Hamas wants them to live. So we need to be over here. We need to have partnerships to be safe at home. And the one thing I can tell you about me and you, and what I like about you, Morgan, we don't sugarcoat it. It's a tough world out there.
Exactly. You're exactly right. It is a tough world, and that's what the reality we have to face. I want to pick up on something that you just said there. You actually talked about this in the Doha Forum. You just talked about our southern border. I think we're getting close to 10 million people who have crossed under the Biden administration. It's just a wide open border. You and I have been, and one of the things that you just talked about was the discussions that are taking place in Congress, where Republican senators are demanding that if Biden wants Ukraine funding and also funding for Israel, that there also be stricter measures and tougher measures for the border. Can you give our audience an update on where we are in that negotiation?
We're having a trouble convincing Biden and liberal Democrats it's okay to secure your border. Donald Trump had the most secure border in December of 2020 in the last 40 years. Well, Biden changed all of the Trump policies. Now he lets people go. It's called catch and release into the United States. Trump said you had to wait in Mexico until your hearing for asylum, which could be 4 years away, and people stopped coming. I've never been more worried about a terrorist attack on our homeland than I am right now, Morgan. Afghanistan set in motion all really bad things. And the reason these people are not coming here is we're stopping them over there. 172 people have come through the border that are on the terrorist watch list. So we need to secure our border and secure it now. I want to help Ukraine. If Putin is not defeating Ukraine, he'll keep going and we'll be in a war with NATO. I'm in the camp of China's watching, and if you give Putin a pass, there goes Taiwan. I really believe all this stuff. But I'm not going to vote for money for Ukraine and our friends in Israel, which I adore Israel, until we secure our own border. We're going to hang tough. So if you're out there listening, I promise you, we're not going to give up on securing your border before we help other people.
Good. I think there's a lot of people listening right now on SiriusXM that are excited to hear that and happy to hear that you're fighting for a tougher border. One more thing, too, that I wanted to talk about. We know there has been an unprecedented, I think it's almost 80 attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East. So we're talking attacks against the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. We're talking about attacks against military facilities that house our troops in Iraq and Syria. We're also talking about attacks from the Houthis. That's a terrorist group, rebel group in Yemen. They have ballistic missiles that have been in the vicinity of U.S. Navy warships that they have had to shoot down. So just unprecedented attacks at American military facilities and people in the Middle East. What should the Biden administration's response be?
Do what Trump did and put Iran on notice. Iran is the root of all evil here. All of these groups, Hamas, that slaughtered the Jews and raped the women and cut the babies' heads off, they get all their money from Iran. So what did Donald Trump do? He killed Soleimani, who was one of the leading terrorist guys in Iran. The reason we're being attacked is because people in the region think we're weak. When we withdrew from Afghanistan, Putin said, all right, I'll go into Ukraine. I've never been more worried about soldiers being killed by Iranian proxies, so I'm begging President Biden, hit the Iranians before they hit us. If the Ayatollah believed he'd lose some of his oil resources and oil refineries, he would stop. There's no substitute for being tough. We need to have the back of American soldiers over here making sure ISIS doesn't come back, not let the Iranians kill them without a consequence. So, President Biden, up your game when it comes to the Ayatollah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Senator Graham. Thank you for going around the world with us.